Justin Thomas, JT, the son and grandson of PGA professionals, became a major champ back in 2017 when he won the PGA championship at Quail Hollow. He became the 8th son of a PGA professional to win the PGA championship. What a moment for him. That Wanamaker trophy, just fantastic. It's also heavy. Then 2022, shot 67 in the final round at Southern Hills to come from 7 shots back to win the PGA in a playoff over Will Zalatoris. JT's 7-shot comeback is tied for the 3rd largest after 54 holes to win a major. That's inside the ropes, though. Off the course, JT also a businessman as he launched his brand Wear SPF in May of 2022. His brand has expanded into golf courses, retailers, and hotels across the country. And the 15-time PGA Tour winner Justin Thomas joins us now. JT, we're going to talk about your product, Wear SPF, and the importance of sun protection in just a moment. But you made news this week with that memo you sent to your PGA Tour peers advocating for more player access with the media, better relationships with broadcast partners. Why was that important for you to do?
I mean, I think it was important to a couple of us. I mean, we like I said in the memo, I'm on the subcommittee with a couple other guys, and I mean, I've been talking to Max a good bit about it, and obviously Adam and Mackenzie as well. And I don't know, it just we've had some discussions and talks with some TV partners, and it felt. Obviously, any sport, anything wants to get better and wants to continue to grow. And I don't know what it was. I really just feel like these last couple months, and I put it in there of just, I mean, I love sports. I love, it's a little harder with the 2-month-old, but I probably before Molly, watching a lot of sports documentaries and things like that. Like I love that. And it I don't know what it was. I just feel like for me personally, I'm like, this is like, it's easy for me to think that it's not cool to have this in golf because I'm a part of it. But obviously, if you're a fan of the sport, you think it's really cool. So it just kind of, I don't know, at least got my mind rolling a little bit. Max was very, very adamant about it as well. And we felt like coming from the players was going to mean much more than coming from, a member of the staff on tour, just because, it is us and just wanted to prove that we're trying. We want everybody to be in this together and try to improve our product, our entertainment, our fan engagement as much as humanly possible.
Now, I know it's only been a couple of days, but what kind of feedback have you gotten from your tour brethren?
I've had a lot of positive messages and notes. I mean, I think that's great, and I've had a lot of positive feedback. I mean, I didn't know really if anybody would reach out or what the reaction would be. I'm sure there's some people that don't care for it or they probably didn't even see it. And that's kind of what I put in there. I don't want this to be something where it's like everybody needs to change to make a total 180 of how they go about everything. I more just want it to be considered. I mean, I was the first to say no to a lot of things, but I also know that maybe how they were potentially approached or brought to me or us on how to be done wasn't exactly the best. So potentially if like, let's meet in the middle. If we want to do pre-run interviews, let's maybe figure out a way that we can make this more efficient, a little bit more in terms of time restraint, make that a little bit tighter. We know exactly what we're talking about. I thought of just how before football games, during NBA games, baseball, whatever it is, how you have these interviews live during a game with coaches and whatnot. And I'm like, if we could somehow incorporate something like that while making it time friendly for us and not interfering with our routine, then it's the best of both worlds. And it's little things here and there like that hopefully will just continue to improve and grow the game type thing.
Well, hopefully that discussion continues, JT. Your viewers would know, hey, you're a 15-time winner on tour. They may know you're a new dad as well. They may not know your interest in sun protection. Can you tell us about the backstory about why you started Wear SPF?
Yeah, it was, I'd say that's a great example of turning a serious negative into a positive and trying to make the the best out of not a very good situation. And in 2019, 26 years old. I was diagnosed with melanoma. I didn't even know that that was really a thing for people my age. And I just had a tiny mole on my calf, my left calf, and I could I feel it when I was practicing quite a bit. But I regularly would get checked from growing up. My parents were pretty strict about that, as much as I was in the sun and I had moles taken off. But just thought it kind of looked funny and took it off. And yeah, and got a text from my doctor about 9 o'clock at night, whenever that night was, saying to call me, which is generally not a good thing. And that's when he said, it was melanoma they found in it and needed to dig it out and needed to basically do a little bit more research on it to make sure that it wasn't more severe. And I didn't know anything about melanoma. I just associated the word obviously with cancer, and it was bad. But after looking it up online immediately after, which is not always the right thing to do, you can find some pretty scary stuff on Google, but it was crazy. I was mind blown. And that's when were, after the process was done, and after I was very fortunate to catch it early enough on, and doctors told me I was months away from being a patient in a hospital. I mean, I was 26 years old. Like I didn't feel any different. Nothing at all. But to hear that is eye opening. And we felt like it was a great chance and opportunity to be like, look, I'm obviously an athlete, if you want to call us that, and was young, and someone who definitely would have never thought I would be a candidate, if you will, for melanoma. And we need to spread the awareness of doesn't matter your age or where you live or anything like that. It's an extremely important part of your life. And I've had some pretty cool messages of people reach out to me since we started Wear SPF about, because of you, I went to go get checked and I was able to catch something early on as well. Or, I found something in the middle of melanoma and I went through treatment and I'm clear and good now. So it's, if we can save one person's life, that's great. But to hopefully continue to spread the awareness and get it better and better, because this is way, way beyond golf or anything sport related. Although it's, a very athletic type brand, it's just this is a health thing and people's lives we're talking about.
Now, can you talk a little bit about the product itself, Wear SPF, why you chose this product? And also, I think the viewers would be curious in how you actually go about your routine preparing for a round of golf, during a round of golf. This is multiple times a day you do this, right?
It is. And I've learned a lot. I've always associated sunburn with just hot temperatures and it's maybe you're on the beach or whatever it might be, but it really has nothing to do with temperature, as weird as it is. It's more of the UV index and checking that regularly where you are. It can even be kind of those overcast days. I felt like how often, I would get done and be like, oh, I got windburn today, which is a thing, but I'd maybe look at the UV index now and I'm like, no, that actually wasn't windburn. That was sunburn. It's the UV index can be much higher. And I remember going on a trip with Jill a couple years ago to the Maldives, and we're right by the equator, and the UV index was as high as it could be. And if you literally didn't have sunscreen on for 10 or 15 minutes, you would burn. And it was so naturally the different places you're in, the more you have to reapply and whatnot. But it's like I put it on before I go out, whether it's depending on the places I'm in. I have a stick that I'll sometimes like to use on my face, but the spray and obviously when it comes to the ingredients and the branding of it in general, that's have the team at Wear SPF that is much more knowledgeable in terms of what to do with that. I don't think it's good for anybody if I don't know enough about or didn't know enough about sunscreen to be able to say what to and what not to have it. I just would give them the feedback of, look, as a golfer, we don't want something that's sticky or we don't want something that's slippery if we have it on our hands. We obviously having the zinc, some people that's extremely important too, and being able to have that extra protection. The spray is important. We don't want it on our hands. I like the stick because again, don't get it on our hands. We use if you're catching on to a theme here, but so then with that information, they were able to come up with some unbelievable products. And then we just kind of felt like, Wear SPF, go get checked it's obviously very to the point and very obvious, but why try to hide it or have it, kind of a subliminal message to it. It's just, it is what it is. And there's really no need to make it anything else. So it's worked out well. And I'm always happy to see it kind of growing and people telling me that they've seen it around.
JT, the PGA Tour is a traveling circus. Sometimes it's a big family. You guys will be on the range helping each other out sometimes, or the practice green, Steve Stricker giving putting, advice, or Billy Horschel likes to talk on the range, as you know. How comfortable are you guys talking about sun protection and skin health, or is that a little bit, verboten or awkward for players like yourself?
Billy Ho likes to talk. I didn't know that. No, it is, and it's. I think it, but it also. I mean, I've had a lot of my friends and my peers that same exact thing. It's like they saw my story, they heard about it, and they're like, wow, I need, like, obviously they're in the sun for their job too. They need to go get checked and get looked at, and they are. And that's as a friend and as someone who's trying to help spread awareness like that. That's cool to see and cool to hear. And it's been cool to like Michael Phelps, for instance. He's been involved in the company, and knowing how often he is outside, whether it's obviously a lot of his medals being swimming indoors, but not all those pools are indoors all the time. So having someone that takes all the product that he's using seriously, to have him involved, and it's great. And I'm trying to figure out ways that we can, here and there get more awareness and kind of word of mouth out on the tour, because it's, the European Tour, DP Tour, has done a great job. I've played at tournaments where they have, skin checks, and I think things like that are great, because you just don't think of it. It's not something. We have a lot going on, and again, at our age, or when you're 20 to 40 years old, that's the last thing you're thinking about, is like, oh, do I have skin cancer? It's just, how am I going to make more birdies? And next thing you know, it could be too late, and it's just past the point of no return. So yeah, it's something that I'm not necessarily bringing up to people voluntarily, but it's definitely, I'm glad to see some of my friends promoting and using the product, and I'll continue to push it on them when I can.
Now, you mentioned your teammate, Billy. You played in your first TGL match earlier this week, got the win for Atlanta. I asked you last week in Palm Springs, you said you watched the first couple of matches, you had some secrets. Can you give me the secrets now, or you don't want to let the lid off?
I mean, we wanted to use our timeouts, and then we felt like the hammer is something that's maybe a little abused, but it's obviously makes for TV, and you want to be able to use it. But like I said in the telecast last night, is that Patrick is our voice of reason, and it's good, because Billy and I were probably a little too emotional when it comes to decisions, and we would just start throwing it everywhere. But Patrick's like, we're winning, and like there's a statistical value to this, and there's no need to be using it when we're up. And it's it's like the parent that's not letting you have any fun, but they are right, kind of thing. So that's why we make a great team. And but we didn't necessarily need to use too much of kind of whether it be timeout at the correct time, or using a hammer when down, or before a hole started or whatnot. We have a lot of faith, and kind of just feel like if we play well enough, and then the match should play out just as it should, and we should win, then so be it.
JT, speaking of parenthood, my dad used to say, having a child, it's like watching your heart outside of your body. You just can't imagine loving something so much. How has fatherhood been for you? In what ways are you a different person?
Yeah, it's been great. Molly's been awesome. It was so cool last week having her and Jill out here in Palm Springs. But it's hard to explain, and really, I'm not a cliche guy. I honestly kind of hate that stuff, but all the cliches about having a child are true. They really are, and more. But it's really, it's just fascinating, and it's wild, because I feel like in the position I was in Friday, Saturday, Sunday, like in past, and maybe I'm sure a lot of it has to do with my comfortableness of and confidence in my game. But just being in the position I was in the tournament, I was never thinking about, the shots I left out on the course, or I need to do this to win this tournament, whatever it is. It was just like, it's a skill and a talent just as much as it is your distance control of being able to separate your golf course tournament life and your family and off the course life. But sometimes it's hard to do that. But when you have to take care of a 2-month-old and you have that at home, it's not quite as hard. You have to be focused on one, not the other. So it was nice to be able to spend that time with them.
Well, Justin, it's been great learning about Wear SPF. Hopefully it's a product that helps a lot of people. Hopefully this conversation helps a lot of people as well. Thank you for the time. We'll see you out there on the PGA Tour during the year.
Yeah, thank you all for having me and helping spread the awareness, and everybody go get checked. And yeah, looking forward to a great year. Thank you, guys.